Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode of the Bet in the Pit Soccer Podcast. We are 11-5 and 69% on our best bets so far this year. Nice. We'll be going through the top 5 European soccer leagues on this weekend return from the international break. We're going through England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany. All the matches, trying to get this out on Thursday nights rest of the year. We'll see if I can stay up with that. And of course, with holiday stuff, that will change. But probably for the better because it'll be easier to get stuff out. And without further ado, let's get into it because we're going to go fast here. I've been tracking numbers. This is now like 2 weeks since we've had lines out there. And with new Bet Online rules or doing away with a classic site that kept numbers where I wanted them to be, or I could see everything about it. Unfortunately, those things have changed. So bear with me for a second, but we'll start in England since that's where the money is. Burnley, they are currently 1-goal underdogs at home to Chelsea. Total is 2.75 in this one. Movement, we've seen a lot of money coming in on Chelsea, actually, which after an international break, I'm generally looking for teams that have not sent people internationally because they ended up playing a lot of time together, practicing together, while the big clubs like Chelsea, for example, have sent their players across the world, though really only Europe was, I think, playing anything for World Cup qualifications. There's a good chance that some of those players did not go on the international trips for friendlies and things of that nature. But Mexico, the U.S., certainly as guaranteed with no competition, they're probably playing, and we're playing with some of their best against rotated squads from Paraguay and Uruguay and such. But all this comes down to what these lineups look like 1 hour before matches will start. They come out. And so I'm going to try to do as much for my Patreon subscribers, patreon.com/real_GWarner. Get all my plays across all sports. College basketball just began, soccer, the NFL, of course. But I'll be trying to get write-ups done as soon as possible, sooner than I have in the past. That's my goal for the season. And of course, you download the app, turn on notifications, you get a buzz every time I lock something in. But back to Burnley and Chelsea. So Burnley have been playing as much defense as possible because they can't score goals. Chelsea haven't been great. They've really struggled against the weaker competition, like a Burnley, for example. But they beat the bigger clubs, got a big win at Tottenham, heading, 2 matches before the international break. So hard to say what to expect from Chelsea here. They're a much better team, of course. Getting a full goal of insurance on a home underdog is very nice, especially, and it looks like it's trending towards 1.25. It's really great to lose by a single goal at home and still get paid. But I think probably biggest interest for me on this one is under 2.75. Would love to get 3. It's juiced all the way to 2.75 to under right now. So probably not going to see a 3 before kickoff on this one, but I'm interested. We'll see if it gets there. Burnley, I guess I'll put the underdog on my list as well, +1, but I think I like that under 2.75 even better. Move next to Bournemouth. They are hosting West Ham. Currently Bournemouth 1-goal favorites at home, whereas this one moves. So it's been pretty juiced on the West Ham side. We did see a move to 3/4 of a goal for a little while. We're back to +1. Total in this one is 2.75, which is where it's been the whole time. We've seen pretty much some money coming in on the road team West Ham, knocking it down to 3/4 and seeing the total head towards over. But I don't really see that because West Ham have not scored goals for years. They've really struggled with managers and honestly have been hiring the wrong people, or sacking David Moyes was a big mistake way back when. I think biggest interest for me right now is just not seeing goals in West Ham matches. The problem is Bournemouth, they played a very conservative style under Anthony Iraola, but he's kind of figured it out and has been a lot more aggressive, offensive, and just has a great roster that he's used to the fullest extent. So I don't know if there's a lot here I want to get involved with. Maybe if this hits 3, that's probably my bigger interest in West Ham's total under. Team totals unders are interesting, but it will be tiny away from home. I think until we get under 3, which it looks like we're trending there, but until we have it, I think I'll probably skip this one. Moving next to Fulham hosting Sunderland. Currently Fulham quarter-goal favorites at home with all the juice, and that one has moved from half of a goal underdogs Sunderland now down to a quarter. They got very expensive, then moved to a quarter as you would suspect. There's been a lot of respect for Sunderland because they played so well so far this season. They've been a cash cow, absolutely, for all the real_GWarner followers out there, especially the Patreon subscribers. But we'll see if they can keep it up. Total in this one has moved from 2.75 to the current the from 2 and a single quarter, 2.25 to the current 2.25. We've seen some juice increase there. So some under money has come in, and that probably makes sense because Sunderland as an underdog has been eaten up as well. Fulham have really struggled in the Premier League. I think their performances have deserved better. But at this point, you are kind of what your record says you are. You can say that forever and ever. But I think Sunderland will go to Fulham, will defend and make Fulham score. And Fulham can do it, but it's kind of hard for them. And there's always big questions about Joachim Anderson getting some sort of red card in defense for Fulham as he's a psycho. Bernd Leno has been great and will forever seem to stand on his head to keep goals out for Fulham, which is great for under. But maybe this is a time where it doesn't work out enough to win a bet. And Sunderland go on the road, get a draw, get a result, you win some money. So I'm interested there. It correlates as well. So I like that part of it too. So Sunderland, I lean to the quarter of a goal. I think I like the under 2.25 even more. We'll move next to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're hosting Crystal Palace. Lots of drama with their manager. But honestly, Wolverhampton has just been horrible for a long time. They were a half a goal underdog. They've been getting bet, surprisingly, though the English Premier League market does like home underdogs, certainly, as do I. Total in this one's been 2.5 this whole time, barely moved, just about a penny. Crystal Palace are a great defense. I don't expect Wolves to score much besides maybe getting some very big crowd support at home and that really generating some energy for them. I'll bet against that. And I think under 2.5 is my biggest interest. Crystal Palace have shown they can score goals this season, but it's a little different for them in a road favorite role. Certainly they're becoming more accustomed to it because it's happening a lot, but I still don't know if that's a great position for them because Ove Glasner just wants a counterattack. That's really what he wants to do. And they've been selling their best players, their best creators left and right. So they kept the defense intact, and that's why they've been so good so far. And I think that's another reason that points toward under. Move next to Brighton hosting Brentford. We've seen this number move from a half of a goal to a half of a goal, so not a lot of movement there. But we've seen some more juice come in on the Brentford road underdog. Total in this one has moved from 2.5 to staying 2.5. So not a lot of, to this current 2.75. So we actually have had a move from the last time just kidding. I've been looking at the wrong one. My bad. Sorry. Growing pains of trying to get used to this. 2.75 is what it's been the whole time. And Brentford have been a half of a goal underdog the whole time, as I already said. So this is pretty much, I think, a reflection of Brentford scoring goals despite being underdog. Brighton have not really shown a lot to me offensively. Danny Welbeck finds goals. He's been a great goal scorer for them despite his age. But this is not the Brighton team of the De Zerbi days who were scoring left and right. I feel like Fabian Hosla has been okay, but I wonder how long he's going to stay at Brighton, to be frank. Not Thomas Frank, but just Frank in general. But I think at this point, for me, it's worth it to lean against Brighton as a favorite, especially with this total that expects them to score goals. So Brentford, half of a goal underdog, under 2.75. They correlate a little bit. I do worry a little bit about Brentford's defense, but like I just said, Brighton are not really that scary offensively, I don't think. We'll move next to a scary offensive team that has had some struggles defensively, and that is Liverpool. They're hosting Nottingham Forest. Number in this one has been 1.25 the whole time. Total has been 3 the whole time, barring a move. As unfortunately, just the new setup at BetOnline is really hard for me to see totals and sides at the same time. Well, yeah, we still have 3. We still have 1.25. And we've honestly seen David Moyes, just kidding, Sean Dyche, pretty much the same manager, but one surprisingly more defensive, especially away from home, even when David Moyes says he doesn't go on the road to entertain. I think we see Nottingham Forest head to Anfield. I don't really want much to do with their side, though Liverpool is a big favorite. I think is certainly a good spot to look against. I just don't really trust Nottingham Forest to score goals. They really didn't do much of that last season. It was all from counterattacks, which worked very well for them, got them into Europa League, but we've seen the struggle so far this season a lot because they didn't retain their manager who had figured out a system, and then they somehow put Ange Postecoglou in, who had absolute the opposite system and no success in the Premier League, but good luck trying to solve things with some of these owners and what they do. With all that said, under 3 is my biggest interest. The question is, can Liverpool clean sheet or keep Nottingham Forest from scoring? I think they can. And then it really would ride on how many goals can Liverpool score. But I think Sean Dyche has shown in the past with his Burnley teams and his Everton teams that he can defend Liverpool fairly well. So under 3 is my biggest interest in that matchup as we move to the next game. We'll now head to Saturday, the nightcap in England, 11:30 Eastern or 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern Time here in the United States. We have Newcastle, half a goal underdog at home to Manchester City. Total is 2.75 in this one, and that's what we've seen so far, though a climb from an initial 1/4 goal underdog on Newcastle with plus odds, but they've settled in as a half a goal underdog. I think that's where it will remain. Newcastle are not as strong as Manchester City. They play pretty much the same players every matchup, and that's going to be really tough for them for a Champions League campaign. But until they start really running out of gas or picking up injuries, I'm very interested in Newcastle. I love the idea of fading Manchester City, as I don't think they're as strong as the numbers have suggested, or at least the betting odds have for a couple seasons now. They've been better this year. They've added a lot of talent, but it's still not the same dominant Pep Guardiola side. They were great and awesome and impenetrable for so long, impregnable, and were scoring millions of goals, but I just don't see that anymore. Newcastle half a goal underdog is always they're always interesting to me as a home underdog in St. James's Park. I think I like that half of a goal more than I like the side, or excuse me, more than I like any of the total type of nonsense in that one. Moving to Sunday, we have Leeds, quarter goal underdogs at home to Aston Villa. Total on this one is 2.25, and where has this number gone? So Leeds have pretty much been a quarter goal underdog this whole time. Total's been 2.25 as well. Aston Villa, awful start to the season. They couldn't score any goals, but that's changed. Now they go on the road to a really tough place to play, and that's a big question, is can they bring the goals with them? I would expect Unai Emery to defend very well with Aston Villa side. I don't know that they're great defensively, but Leeds don't have a lot of goal scorers. So for me, under 2.25, I think my biggest interest in this one, though I always lean to home underdogs, so I'll put that on the list for the ultimate best bet possibility as well. Next, we'll move to another matchup in England. That is Arsenal hosting Tottenham, the North London derby. We have Arsenal 1.25 goal favorites with slightly more juice. Total on this one is 2.75, and it's juiced very heavily to under. Now, where has the number moved in this one? We have Arsenal. They were always 1.25 goal underdogs favorites since I was watching this, and total is 2.75. We've seen more money come in on under, which is a little bit of a surprise, and a fair amount of money come in on Tottenham as well. We've seen Tottenham perform better away from home so far this season in more of a counterattacking style. I don't know that I was expecting that from Thomas Frank, but that's probably sensible because it's how he always played with lower budgeted sides like Brentford. Here he gets to play that same style, and maybe that fits in better. Arsenal's incredible clean sheet and dominance, not even giving up shots, it seems, is really hard to look anywhere but under here, and that certainly does make the underdog a little bit more attractive, the 1.25. But I think most interesting to me in this one is under 2.75. The market has certainly realized that, and I do want to make sure I grab the 2.75 and don't lose it. But with all that said, I'm still pretty interested in Tottenham's new type of style, which I thought would be more offensive because Brentford scored a bunch, but we haven't really seen that, to be frank. Thomas Frank, there's a joke. Last but not least, we have a Monday matchup of two pretty famous English clubs. Manchester United, they are hosting Everton. 3/4 goal underdogs are Everton right now. Total in this one is 2.75. In terms of movement on this one, we've seen some money coming in on under, but then some over money hitting as well. And I guess we've seen more money as initial Manchester United money hit. Everton has been getting bet since then. I don't trust Everton to score goals. I don't really believe in this Manchester United team either, though. And certainly the manager of Everton, former Manchester United manager, and all those sort of things do play into seeing a low-scoring game here. Under 2.75 is my biggest interest. We'll see if we get to 3. I don't think we'll see that before kickoff on Monday night, but we do have a long time to get there. And maybe, just so maybe we might this weekend. For my best bet, ultimate best bet possibility, I pick one favorite bet from this entire episode from each of the leagues I cover, smash together for one pick. You can grade me on at the end of the show. We're 11-5 and 69%. Nice year to date. I'll take Newcastle half a goal underdogs at home to Manchester City. Move now to Spanish La Liga. I'll check in to see if the audio is working with those that are live. Sound check. Thank you, Anderson Hernandez. Nice to see you. Sorry, we've been a while taking an international break with the soccer clubs out there, though I'm not getting paid as much weekly as they are, unfortunately, for it. Thanks for coming in, Anderson, and your support is always appreciated. Move to Spain. We have a Friday matchup with Valencia hosting Levante. Currently, Valencia half a goal favorites. All the juice on Levante away. Total is 2.5. Juice all the way to over. So where's this one moved? And this is also a Valencian derby. I wonder if we see a pretty emotional scene here potentially with considering the devastation that happened last season. So we've seen some money coming in on the over, which is interesting. Levante have seen a fair amount of goals in their matchups Valencia just don't seem like a team to me that will score many, so that does interest me. We've seen more money coming in on Valencia and over. I lean to the opposites. No surprise to anyone listening to this podcast. Longtime Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/real_G Warner. Joe Dollar knows that I love underdogs and unders, and he wants me to change that. But cheetahs don't change their spots, Joe. Levante, I'm interested in the half of a goal. I'm interested in under 2 3/4. I'd love to see it climb, or excuse me, 2.5. It could get to 2 3/4. I don't see the goals in Valencia. They'll certainly have a much better time here with a newly promoted side from Spain. But I'm just on the opposite side of the market at this point. Move next to Saturday, the early matchup, as Spain just staggers one after another, which is kind of nice and makes it a lot easier. So there's no log jam of matches. Alaves quarter goal favorites at home to Celta de Vigo. Juices very heavily on the Celta de Vigo side, and that's been climbing after moving up from Pick'em. Total in this one is 2 1/4, and it's juiced very heavily to under. Not a lot of goals expected, though. To me, I'm pretty interested in under here until we get to 2. I'm interested more in the Celta de Vigo side as well, because they don't have any European commitments that has really bothered their ability to win in Spain so far this season. Alaves finding goals is really tough. They're more actually physical than even Getafe, get more fouls every season, it seems. But all those things kind of add up to me being fairly interested in the road underdog. Though it's very slight. We'll see if it stays. At Pick'em, I don't really want a road underdog unless there's no home field advantage, and Alaves certainly do have some. But under 2 1/4 is probably biggest interest and might be something you want to rush into, though currently minus 126. I don't think is necessarily worth it. I'd probably wait for a 2 and try to get some plus money or maybe a better price movement potentially and get a better number on that, or better juice on that 2 1/4. Next one to Barcelona hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently Barca, a 1 1/4 goal favorite with more juice at home. Total in this one is 3, and it's used very heavily to over right now in terms of movement on this one. We've seen really Athletic Club getting a fair amount of respect initially, and then money's been coming in Barcelona. That's not a surprise. Total at 3, also not a surprise. More money coming in over as well. That is not the game that Athletic Club want to play. They're going to try to be as defensive as possible. They've not shown the ability to score goals. They used to have a side that was perfect counterattacking against a high line, but they've been missing, or the Williams brothers have been injured this year, and that's been really problematic for them. And it's been really a lost season. They've been bad in Champions League, bad in La Liga after a perfect 3 wins in a row start. I don't think there's much I want to do here because I don't really like unders with Barca. Next, we move to Osasuna hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Real Sociedad actually has moved to a favorite at Pick'em, but it was initially Osasuna minus 130, and they're now down to minus 105. So the juice has flipped to make Real Sociedad the slight Pick'em favorite. Total in this one is 2 1/4, and it's used pretty heavily to under. We've been seeing some under money coming in since I've been tracking it, and that makes sense. Real Sociedad got a huge win in their El Derby Vasco, the Basque Derby against Athletic Club we just talked about. It's another sort of Basque Derby, though not as big of this one in Pamplona. But so Osasuna play really well at home. That's been their kind of their mantra, their shtick. I'll be waiting to see if this number moved to Osasuna an underdog, quarter of a goal. That's what I'm waiting for. I lean to the Pick'em, and I like under 2 1/4. I just don't really expect Real Sociedad to score. I don't think Athletic Club victories really show much that they've done much to change in a big derby matchup. And you could argue that Osasuna's little brother syndrome might even help them for motivation for this matchup. To the Saturday nightcap of Villarreal, a 1 1/4 goal favorite to Mallorca. Total in this one is 2 3/4, used all the way to over. We've been seeing money coming in and over. That's not a surprise. We've been seeing money come in on Villarreal. Probably also not a surprise, playing very well so far this season in Champions League, while Mallorca have really been floundering. I don't trust Mallorca to score. Totals at 2 3/4 are gigantic for them. I would love to see a 3, but for now, I'll lean to Mallorca under 2 3/4, that nightcap on Saturday. To Sunday, the early matchup, we have Real Oviedo hosting Rayo Vallecano. Oviedo, a quarter goal underdog at home, a little bit more juice on Rayo. Total in this one is 2 1/4, juiced more to under. So Real Oviedo are newly promoted. They've not been very good. Number has not moved at all. We've seen only real movement toward under in this matchup. And it should be that way because Rayo are a rough road favorite, not really expected to score much. And I think that's probably, I'm more interested in under 2 1/4 there, but the home underdog also with a big crowd behind them celebrating their return to La Liga will certainly be a big deal all season. And this is probably a match they think they can get 3 points in. We'll move next to Real Betis hosting Girona. Currently Betis, a 1 goal favorite at home. They are pretty juiced right now. I've moved up from 3/4 a goal, so clearly some money's coming in on the Verde Blancos. Total is 3 in this one. It is juiced heavily after climbing up from 2 3/4. So as the numbers have been climbing, clearly not a lot of respect for Girona in this number. I do like a full goal of insurance. I don't know that I want much to do with under 3, as I am concerned about the Girona defense, but I think they're going to play a very defensive brand of football until they get back to some sort of position in the league table where they're not concerned with relegation at every second. They probably should be for a while, but under and the underdog look most interesting to me, though. Betis unders are really not the way to get rich, I think, in this sport. Move next to Getafe. They're hosting Atletico Madrid, as I've lost my place. Getafe currently 3/4 goal underdogs with almost all the juice. Total in this one is 2. And it's just a little bit more to over, which does not really compute for an Atletico Madrid matchup. I'm surprised to see it that low, though certainly some money has been coming in on under as well. So that's even more surprising. Number has climbed on the side from half of a goal to 3/4. So money coming in at Atleti and coming in on under. So seemingly betting against Getafe, playing well in this matchup. I mean, Atleti have been really struggling on the road, struggled to start the season in La Liga. We're an auto fade, but then played really well heading into the international break because they really couldn't have played worse. But a lot of respect for Getafe here, besides the side, I guess. I don't know. Movement doesn't really make a lot of sense to me in this one. I'll lean to Getafe getting a 3/4 of a goal. Would love to get a full goal of insurance. I don't think we will. And under 2 is interesting to me, but that's the lowest I'll go. So we'll see where this number moves until kickoff on Sunday. Last but not least, on Sunday, the big matchup, Elche 1.5 goal underdogs at home to Real Madrid. More juice. Total in this one is 3 1/4, and it's used very heavily to under. It's hard to see any sort of unders with Real Madrid because they are potentially playing the most offensive lineups that Carlo Ancelotti could only dream of. Though he did have most of these same players, though he did certainly develop Arda Güler, who's playing a double center attacking midfielder, at least when they did get lined up at home at Bernabeu against Valencia before the international break. There's a lot of goals in this team, and Kylian Mbappe has finally found his feet in La Liga. Tongue twister there. Elche have been great. They're going to try to possess the ball. They're going to try to play with it. That's scary on the road. At home to Real Madrid in a high scoring type of matchup. I probably want a team that's going to try to keep this as low scoring as possible. Elche are not really that club, though they've been really good so far this year. Numbers climb from 1 1/4 to 1.5. Totals kind of hung out where it is. Some money coming in on over, as you'd expect. I guess Elche 1.5 underdog, and home is interesting. We'll see if it makes it anywhere near my card. To Monday, Espanyol, they are hosting Sevilla. Currently, Espanyol half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Sevilla. Total in this one is 2 1/4, and it has plus money on under, which is interesting considering Sevilla's struggles to score for years and years and years. Espanyol's surge into a really good team, but they've been showing they can score goals. Number has moved from 1/4 of a goal to 1/2 of a goal, and the total has been seeing some money bet on over. So we're seeing Espanyol catching some money. They deserve it for how well they've played at home. I do feel like we're getting to a point where Espanyol are overvalued, and Sevilla are certainly have been undervalued for years, though they've struggled to stay in the league. They're an auto fade, easiest money in sports betting to bet against them. But I do feel like I like the new manager, Almeida, and I gotta say I'm fairly interested in the Sevilla side here and under. They correlate, but another one of those where I gotta feel like how much I want to gamble in this matchup because there's plenty of red flags there with how well Elche basically stayed in the league last year after being promoted to Spain by dominating at home, and certainly 1/2 of a goal is not enough insurance if Sevilla are going to lose this matchup. For my best bet in Spain, which will be possibly one of the best bet options in the ultimate best bet coming end of show, I'm going to go with that Real Sociedad Osasuna under 2 1/4. If I had Osasuna as a 1/4 goal underdog at home at a reasonable price, I might play that, but we don't have that yet. So I'll move now to Italy. Moving back to check our sound. I haven't seen anything more from Anderson, so hopefully we're still good there. Thank you for coming in as always. We'll now move to Cagliari hosting Genoa, and this is a Saturday matchup as Italy are not playing Friday this week, which is good. Gives me a little more time to catch up. More juice on the Cagliari home team right now. Total is 2, and it's juiced very heavily to under. I've seen money coming in on under and on actually the road team Genoa, which is interesting. Excuse me, not the road team, Genoa, on the home team Cagliari. We've seen money coming in the home favorite as they've climbed to a more expensive pick 'em, though still cheap, and money coming in on under, and it should play because I don't trust either of the teams to score. Cavalry probably see this as a game they can win, which does make the under a little bit less valuable, but the push on 2 is important, and that's my interest in that matchup. We'll move now to Udinese hosting Bologna. Currently, Udine are a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, juiced very heavily to under. In terms of movement on this one, as something weird happened, I've lost all my numbers. Great. Awesome. Love when that happens. Udinese have pretty much been being faded as they've climbed from a quarter goal underdog to the current half. The total has been bet a little bit to under so far. That's probably expected with these two teams, and just a league that hasn't been scoring goals. There have been so many goalless draws. The problem is I don't really want to fade Genoa. Excuse me, I don't want to fade Bologna. The same colors. My bad. Bologna have been so good. They withstood the loss of Thiago Motta and all these talented players. And I really like the depth they've had. They played really well. Udinese with a big win at home to Atalanta heading into the international break, which is very impressive. I don't know, though. Unfortunately, that momentum seems to go away, sadly, when you go for a 2-week break, essentially. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I guess I do lean to the home underdog and the under, as I always do. Udinese are not that strong defensively, though, and I am concerned that Bologna are a team that can score goals. So I'll put Udinese and under on my list, but it's not a strong feeling at the moment. Move next to Fiorentina and Juventus. Currently, Fiorentina half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to over. So Fiorentina have been terrible to start the season, one of the longest winless streaks out there. They have been getting bet a little bit, though, probably because they're a big home underdog, and Serie A likes the idea of fading Juventus, who have changed managers and all those sort of things as they needed to. Juve's defense was bad to start the year. I imagine it'll improve, which makes me feel like under is probably interesting, but Fiorentina are so desperate that I don't know how that's going to really play out. I think home underdog is probably the only way I can go in this one. It's bigger than I made it, so that is interesting to me. And I feel like Juve are just a team I'd like to be against. Sorry to one of my best friends, Francis, who we went to a Juve Milan match in Milan, and he's a big Juve guy, but it's not been pretty for years now. Moving next to the nightcap on Saturday, Napoli hosting Atalanta. Currently, Napoli quarter goal favorites at home. A little bit more juice on Atalanta. Total in this one is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to over right now. So Atalanta have been not finding any goals in their matches, and you could probably say the same thing about Napoli, despite starting the year scoring so well. It's lower than the number's lower than I made it. It's trending towards 2.5. But I think at this point, Atalanta under 2.25 is my biggest interest in this matchup, though probably will not make the best bet selection end of this episode. Verona then hosts Parma in the early lunchtime kickoff in Italy, 5:30 local time here in Texas. Jeez. Verona are a quarter goal favorite right now. Juice is split both ways. No telling where that one will go. And the juice is to over 2 in this one. Parma have been, I guess Verona have been getting bet, though slightly. It's only juice really changing, and some money has been coming in on over, which I don't agree with. Parma have not shown any ability to score. Verona have added some really talented players, but they can't really struggle to win matches early in the season, and they've been struggling to score too. So I think it's all points to an under, and certainly the road underdog is of interest because I think very good possibility of a goalless matchup in this one, especially the early start coming off an international break. Cremonese then hosts Roma. Currently Cremonese, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. All the juice on Roma away. Total in this one is 2.25. Juice pretty heavily to over right now. Cremonese have been awesome so far and probably reflect under 2.5 to 2.25. It was juiced very heavily at under 2.5, and it's now pretty cheap at under 2.25. So that probably makes some sense. But ultimately, the side not moving and the big name being on the road is of interest to me because that tells me there's some money that is hanging this number or staying with Cremonese. Would love to see them move to a full 1-goal underdog. We don't have that yet. We may, though. The juice is certainly pointing that way. But I like the idea of fading Roma. It's not been as easy to score goals under Gasparini, and with that big full goal of insurance in our pockets, I think that's a really nice place to be. Move next to Lazio and Lecce. Lazio 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced more to under. Whereas the number moved in this one, we've seen Lecce at 3/4 goal underdog with more odds, so they've been getting bet a little bit. I don't know how you bet them away from home. Yes, they travel well, have a big fan base, but they don't score goals. That does certainly make me lean toward under. 2.25 is pretty small for a Lazio side that can score goals. Yes, they had a transfer ban, couldn't bring in new talent. But I still really like them more so as home underdog, like when they beat Juventus a few weeks ago. I guess I lean to under and to probably not to Lecce, though. I don't really want them to score goals, and that would not be good for under as well. Under 2.25, my biggest interest in that matchup. Lazio hosting Lecce. To the Milan derby, Derby della Lanterna, I want to say. Could be wrong on that one, but Sunday, the nightcap, that's where the Topspiel, as it would be in German, is in Italia of this Giornata. Currently, Inter, half a goal favorite, all the juice on Milan away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used pretty heavily to over. So Milan, they've been getting bet a little bit. The total has been barely moving, so not really a lot of indicators there. But Inter are a much better club. They've not gotten off to the same start, but they're playing Champions League, where Milan are playing nothing, just Coppa Italia, I guess, if you're really looking for something. These big derby matches don't really see a lot of goals too much, or they explode into goal fests. I don't really see that happening, especially with Massimiliano Allegri potentially giving us a striptease in this matchup. We'll see. I think under 2.5 is my biggest interest in that matchup. And we'll move to Monday, where we have two more matches. Torino hosting Como. Currently, Torino quarter goal underdogs at home. More juice on Como away. I mean, it's amazing how where these teams have been, and Como have been getting respect, so I shouldn't be surprised, but I somehow still always am. Como total in this one is 2.25, and it's used all the way to under. Where's this number moved? So we've seen some money coming in on Torino. I don't know that I want to back them as a home underdog, because Como are going to dominate this game. They're going to possess the ball. Torino are going to see none of it, and I don't trust them to score goals at all. So that points me towards under 2.25. It's very expensive at the moment. It should be. Big question is, how much do Como score? And so we'll see how much does Torino end up defending. Under 2.25, probably biggest interest in that one. And surprisingly, but no real interest in the home underdog there, unless you're just playing for a goalless draw where you didn't do win some money. Last but not least, Sassuolo hosts Pisa, as two promoted clubs from Serie B are against each other. Sassuolo, half a goal favorites. It's a little expensive, but probably deserved in how these teams have played so far. Pisa just can't score goals, and that makes me lean toward under, which we have a 2.25 here, just very heavily. Two wouldn't scare me away, but certainly there's value in getting 2.25 here. And we've seen some under money coming in. Also some money on the Pisa side. Knocked it down to a quarter of a goal at plus odds, came back to a half. So we'll probably see that jockey back and forth. I don't think I want to bet goals from Pisa in this one, so I'll probably play under 2.25. Two newly promoted sides generally are not the best spots to go find a bunch of goals. So I think that works fairly well in what I'm potentially suggesting. As for a best bet from Italia, I think there's certainly some value in that Cagliari Genoa under. I really like Fiorentina, a half a goal underdog as well. I'll go with that Cagliari Genoa. I think there's a good chance we see no goals, so I'm not going to look past that one. Check the audio one more time. Anderson, I have not seen you complain yet, because you never do. I appreciate that you do a good job of telling me when things are broken. I think we're still alive, trying to not rock the boat or rock the desk at this point. Moving to France, to Ligue 1, as we only have 9 matches left from each of the Ligue 1 in France and the German Bundesliga. Thank you if you are listening, watching, whatever you're doing. 5-star reviews and Apple Podcasts and on Spotify with comments are huge for us in the search rankings, get more people involved, potentially get me to do more shows. We'll see if we can find time in the schedule, because I barely sleep as it is. But we'll move to France. We'll start on Friday with Nice hosting Olympique de Marseille. Currently, Nice, a half of a goal underdog. That is Olympique Gymnastique Club de Nice. They are hosting Olympique Marseille. Currently, Nice, half a goal underdogs with all the juice right now. Total is 2.75. Used pretty heavily to over. Where has this number gone? So we've seen more money come in on Nice, probably after a really competitive matchup they played against PSG before the international break, but ended up conceding late goals. So how much value do you even get from that? Total's moved a little bit, betting towards under, which is surprising, because Marseille can score goals. That's what they do. What De Zerbi does. But I'm interested in the home underdog here. No surprise to anyone. Water is still wet. We'll see if it makes it to the card. On Saturday, we'll start with Lens hosting Strasbourg. Currently, Lens quarter goal favorites with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.75, juice all the way to over. Strasbourg have been really good this season. Lens have been great. They have a great home field advantage. I do not want to be against that unless I get a ton of value. And I made Strasbourg about the same price. They have moved up from a pick'em to a quarter goal underdog, and that's saying something. So I don't know that I'm really that in love with the idea here of doing anything like that. So I will continue to. Did I skip a matchup? No, we're just missing a number. Oh no, we're not. We flipped some things. No, we didn't. What the heck happened here? Okay, my bad. We are. It's getting tired over here, I guess, or I might be. So what I said a second ago. Let's see. Let's do that over. Let's start over this matchup. So Strasbourg, quarter goal underdogs with a very heavily juiced over 2 3/4. They've been quarter goal underdogs this whole time. And what I was gonna say, or excuse me, they've been a half a goal underdog, fall into a quarter, and they are getting odds right now from Lens. I think you wait if you like Strasbourg and try to get a better price, because going on the road requiring a win to win a full bet is too expensive for me. I'm not interested there. Stade Rennais is the next one that I was confusing for a second. They are a home underdog right now at Pick'em to Monaco. All the juice on the Monaco side. Total in this one is 3, and it's juiced more to the over. Stade Rennais have a defensive manager and are a defensive club, and that is how they are going to somehow find their way back to Europe. I don't know if it's this season, but Monaco are an offensive side that want to outscore you. They've already parted ways with their manager. Rennes threatened to do that to their own. They got a really good first half performance in a home matchup, I think, with Marseille. Could be mistaken on that one. I was watching that earlier, actually, and I've lost my connection there. So whoops. I really like Rennes at home. I think they play well there, as most teams do. But Monaco are talented. I'll be waiting to see if they move to quarter goal favorite. That will be a definite go for me, though at this point I do like Rennes as a home pick'em, and it's probably enough for me there. PSG then hosts Le Havre in the nightcap on Saturday. Currently PSG 2-goal favorites. Juice is split both ways in this one, but I expect PSG money to come in because it always does. Total is 3 1/4, and it's juiced very heavily to under. That surprises me a little bit. It's been certainly getting bet, and I wonder what that tells me about the PSG lineup, especially because Le Havre have been getting bet as well. I will keep an eye out for that. Le Havre are going to try to defend as much as possible. That's what they do. So I guess if biggest interest is under 3 1/4, because you get a goal and a quarter more than that +2 on the side. Moving to Sunday, of Angers hosting Lyon. Currently Angers a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. They deserve so much better than a loss 1-0 at home to Marseille. Took a late red card, which probably didn't impact anything. Marseille were already down to 10 men, and Angers were dominating the game, conceded a goal, which was pretty lucky on a missed kick, and then just could never score, or did score and had offside decisions, all these sort of things. I like the setup for Angers. I think they are a good team versus expectations. They're not a good team overall in Liga, but that's, I guess, a little bit complicated to explain on a podcast that probably people don't care too much about. I think there's value in Angers. I like the half of goal underdog at home for a home result against a Lyon side that are just not as strong as they have been in the past. They've been certainly improving. Nantes then hosts Lorient. Currently Nantes a pick'em right now, the juice almost even, which is clearly the market likes Lorient here. Total is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. So where has this number moved? Lorient have been betting bet down from my first initial number. I saw a quarter goal underdog -134, which BetOnline rarely gives. So I don't know if I was late to the party and saw a big move or something like that. But Lorient have been steadily getting bet. If they close a favorite here on the road at Nantes, I will definitely be on the Canaries. But I bet Nantes all the time. So I guess that's not a surprise to me. No interest in under 2.5. I expect a low-scoring game, but Lorient's defense has been bad, and I want to fade bad promoted sides that have not good defenses on the road, especially as a favorite. So that's going to be almost impossible for me to avoid. Moving next to Stade Brestois, hosting Football Club de Metz. Currently Brest, a 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Metz away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced all the way to over. So Brest have been not getting a lot of love so far this year, though Metz have been getting, I guess, unsurprisingly, love in this matchup. They've been kind of jockeying between half of a goal underdog and 3/4, spending most of the time at 3/4, but they did have a move down to a half, which was interesting. The total is kind of hung between 2 3/4 and 2.5. Mets are a team that can score, but they don't defend at all. And that's a big problem for a promoted side. And I don't expect that to change much. So it makes it really hard to back them away from home without getting a full goal of insurance. We don't have that yet. Moving next to Toulouse hosting Angers. Toulouse currently a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Total is 2.25, and it's juiced all the way to over. We've seen Angers as high as a +1 underdog here. They don't score goals, but they've chosen to defend this season, and I think they've still had plenty of value in playing low-scoring games. I probably, without their ability to score goals, need to get that +1 back for me to really consider this one. Lean to under 2.25, but want that 2.5 as well to a full bet winner if it lands 2. We'll see. And I do expect Toulouse to get bet. So we could see Angers, as they are never respected in the marketplace, and that they somehow are still here in Ligue 1 while others have been relegated. Last but not least, the nightcap in France. We have Lille hosting Football Club de Paris, Paris FC. I don't know why it's FC Paris on Bet Online, but who cares? All the juice right now on Paris. Total on this one is 2.75, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over. We've seen a little bit of betting on Paris, I guess, but I don't want much to do with them. I still don't really trust them. Market has loved them all year, and I've been betting against it, and I feel like that's been a good thing for the podcast so far this year. In terms of a best bet from France, let's go. I'm waiting for Rennes to move to a 1/4 goal underdog, but until we have that, I don't really mind taking a pick'em. Probably will make it to my card anyway. So Stade Rennais, a pick'em at home to Monaco. Last but not least, the German Bundesliga. We do have a Friday matchup, and that is Mainz 05 hosting TSG Hoffenheim. Mainz are a pick'em with almost all the juice. Total in this one is 3, juice almost all the way to under. And I'll be waiting for Hoffenheim to move to an underdog, but they are not a 1/4 goal yet. I'll be waiting for that. Until then, I will not have a play in this one. Bayern München then hosts Sport Club Freiburg. Bayern 2-goal favorites with all the juice. Total is 3.5, and it's juiced more to under. Where has the movement been in this one? We have seen, let me get there. Bayern have been getting bet. What a surprise. Juice has flipped entirely, and we're probably seeing 2.25, which is what I was expecting to see initially. Total hasn't moved much. Freiburg have not been good against bigger clubs in Germany, and I don't expect that to change on the road in Munich. Borussia Dortmund then hosts VfB Stuttgart in a huge matchup of big-name clubs. Stuttgart are finally climbing to get there. Dortmund, 3/4 goal favorites, almost all the juice on Stuttgart away. Total is 3, and it's used very heavily to over. Stuttgart, to me, are really undervalued. I really like that they've kind of morphed their game after a slow start to the season, dealing with a lot of injuries and selling Nick Voltemesi to Newcastle. I'm interested in fading Dortmund, probably not on the total here, because I think both these teams want to score, which is not exactly my type of style. I'll be waiting to see if VfB Stuttgart move to a full goal of insurance. VfL Wolfsburg then hosted by Leverkusen. Currently, Wolfsburg, a 1/2 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 3, and it's juiced all the way to under. So Wolfsburg, I don't trust to score goals. I think I heard they sacked their manager. Leverkusen are clearly not on Bayern's level, but have been beating most teams in the Bundesliga. I don't know that I trust that forever, and I do like the push on 3. The Leverkusen are not really an under team to me. Lean to under 3 in that one more so than the Wolfsburg side, because I don't even like them really what I was seeing. They're perennial underachievers despite spending a lot of money in the Autostadt, or the automotive car city. Football Club Augsburg then host HSV, Hamburger SV, Sportverein. Currently, Augsburg 1/4 goal favorites with all the juice on Hamburg away. Newly promoted is interesting, though much bigger club with a bigger name. Total is 2.75. This one juice more to the over. I wonder how long Sandro Wagner will be at Augsburg, because I don't think his style works with their lack of talent. I like Hamburg. I like under, because I think Augsburg are not really going to score many goals. I think I like the side on the road underdog better. Despite Augsburg playing really well at home, I guess I lean under 2.75, and it's hard for me to separate those two. But Hamburg getting a 1/4 goal, I think, is my biggest interest. Heidenheim then hosts Borussia Mönchengladbach. Currently, Heidenheim 1/4 goal underdogs at home. So surprising to see Gladbach from bottom of the table to now being favored away. Total in this one's 2.75, juice all the way to over. We probably would have seen Heidenheim an underdog, even with how poorly Gladbach have been playing. But that big win against St. Pauli did certainly change the direction of the club. I don't know. But home underdog against a team that's been really struggling, that has nowhere near the budget or coaching abilities or anything like that. give me the home underdog there. To the top spiel, the Saturday nightcap, Köln host Eintracht Frankfurt. Currently Köln a quarter goal underdog at home with a little bit more juice. Total in this one 3.25. Juice very heavily to under, which is saying something because last time I checked, Eintracht Frankfurt do not defend and they can score goals. So that's a very scary under. Köln are going to play an open game. They're a bigger underdog than I expected. So I lean that way, though they are certainly going to be playing with fire, trying to use whatever they got from a newly promoted side to beat a team that's playing in Champions League, and that is scary. Moving to Sunday, RB Leipzig, 1.25 goal favorites at home to Werder Bremen. More juice on Leipzig slightly. Total is 3.5, and it's juiced very heavily to over. I don't trust Werder to score goals, so I don't know where that comes from. Their defense is usually very, very limited, unfortunately. They've been working in young players. I don't know really what the strategy is. Just broke team up in northern Germany with former great history. Leipzig are looking like a dominant team that don't play in Europe and have a ton of young talent. They are scary. I want nothing to do with fading them, I think, at this point. Last but not least, before we get to ultimate best bets coming end of show, which we're there about there, St. Pauli, a pick'em at home to Union Berlin. All the juice on the home team, totals 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over. I can't trust St. Pauli to score a goal. I think Union Berlin will definitely be on the card. Now, will the total also be? Probably. I mean, I think there's a lot of value, potentially a 1-1 draw here, a 1-0 Union Berlin win. Don't think it's impossible to see no goals. I do think that St. Pauli will figure it out. But what I liked and saw early in the season, I really have not liked that. One good performance at TSG Hoffenheim in the Cup. But, man, it's been pretty ugly, and I'm not really sure I'm much of a believer in what I've seen from them at all. So, for the best bet on the German Bundesliga on this November 21st episode, as we've turned it into the new day already. Yippee. Can't wait to go to sleep. Just then wake up. Feels like 4 seconds. I'm going to go, it's just Heidenheim, a quarter goal underdog at home. I think has the most value in Germany at this card that I'm looking at currently. Very interested in Union Berlin on Sunday, though, as well. We'll see if we make it to there and we're still alive at that point. Thanks for the live viewers. And, of course, Anderson, thank you for your help with confirming that the sound is working. It's time to get to the ultimate best bet. That's what everyone's been hanging out for. We're 11-5, 69% so far year to date. One push in there. I will recap my favorite picks. But before we get there, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify are huge for the search rankings. Please don't call me a tout scammer, but if you leave a 5-star review, I guess it's worth it. Other than that, we do have a pregame college basketball podcast coming out with Big East Ben on Friday. We also have college football. It's already out from Tuesday, discussing this weekend's biggest games on the card. And we'll be trying to figure out how much we're doing or what we're doing for the college football stuff. Plus, NFL podcast, Andrew Schnicker, that's been out since Tuesday night as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Fridays, every other day. Seems like a big podcast day for me now. But patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best spot to get all my plays, leans, write-ups across all sports. Go check that out, especially with this college basketball season just beginning. It's been a slow start. Just not really even wins or losses, just not a lot of trying to get to know these rotations and these teams is impossible, but trying to get more data to really use and what I'm doing going forward. And I think that's going to benefit us later in the season and not give away some money early. But from England, my favorite bet, Newcastle, half a goal underdog at home to Manchester City. In La Liga in Spain, like Osasuna, 2.25 goal underdogs. Under 2.25 goals. They could be a home underdog to Real Sociedad. In Serie A in Italy, Genoa, under 2. In Ligue 1 in France, Stade Rennais, a pick'em. Be waiting for a quarter goal underdog there. In German Bundesliga, we go Heidenheim, quarter goal underdogs at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach. But for the ultimate best bet, the one you're going to grade me on, let's go Newcastle, half a goal underdog at home to Manchester City. Voltemata, hope he's in the lineup. Voltemata, Vols Messi, go score some goals. And we'll see this happening, hopefully, and we'll move to 12-5. Though I do really like the 69% nice that we've accomplished so far this season. We were 68% last year on best bets. I didn't think it'd be close to that number again this year, but we're going to try our best to keep that going. Thanks for tuning in. And tell your friends, subscribe, all those sort of things at @real_G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. If you want the reels, there will be a football one coming out for the NFL as well, plus this football one. So two for your money because there's none. Just sign up at @real_G Warner on YouTube for the shorts, at @real_G Warner on Instagram for the reels. And we'll see you next time on the Betting the Pitch soccer episode.
Recording stopped.